but it dovetails into my no affection, no protection argument, because even though Alan deals primarily with short-term mating and sex, when we get into the protection issue, that's a long-term arrangement. That's the social contract. The deal is long-term provisioning for long-term fucking.
Mm-hmm.
A man wants to have his woman to fucking suck for a long-term basis. Now, in return, she gets protection and provision. But a lot of women, black women in particular, don't want that arrangement anymore. They want black men to remain stuck in frozen in the amber of the past, where they continue to provide protection and provision, while black women can now call off their sucking and fucking duties and parcel those out to the small percentage of Khan Noonien Singh niggas. And black men
what is
no to that.
Oh, Khan Noonien Singh niggas. Go ahead, Obsidian. You want to add to that?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, a lot of black women are upset about this idea that black men as a group owe them protection simply because they black, you black, your mama black. And that's bullshit. There is the social contract. Long-term provisioning for long-term sucking and fucking. That's the deal. That is the deal. That's how that works. Now, if you want long-term provisioning and long-term protection from a man, you got to be prepared to put out on demand of making the appropriate propitiations in front of the black monolith in the kneeling position, assuming the position bent over the couch. That is the deal. But a lot of black women don't want to do that. They want to reserve that for a small group of Khan Noonien Singh niggas, to which I say, bitch, go get those Khan Noonien Singh niggas to clean up the community.
But Obsidian,
You're right. When the welfare state is humming along, when women can go to school and got to get my masters and all that sort of thing, that's true. And no other group of women have made it abundantly clear that they don't need no man more than black women have. You're hard pressed to think of a bigger group of women who have publicly said that, and there's a lot of truth to that. Well, now black men are putting it to the test.
Now women are in a position where they can basically pursue male companionship a la carte for every specific need. See, back in the day, women basically had to take a man's quote unquote total package, everything he had to offer. Whereas now a woman, and even more specifically a manipulative woman, she could say, well, Henry is good at fixing my car, so I'm gonna always call Henry when I need my car fixed. Joe, he likes to treat me to movies on Fridays and Saturdays, so when I want to see a good movie, I'm gonna call Joe. You know, Chad, he fucks me real good. He pulls my hair when he fucks me doggy style. So when I need some dick, somebody gonna treat me rough in the bedroom, I'm gonna call Chad, and so on and so on and so on. But so you could say that opportunity has been presented to them, but here's the problem. Here's where guys can blow back. Guys, and this goes with Obsidian's line of price discrimination. Guys are saying, hey, wait a minute. I spent 20 hours with you last week cutting your grass and going bowling with you, but I didn't get as much of a hand job. And this guy over here, he just spent like an hour and a half with you, and that whole hour and a half was him fucking you. What is that about? Now, see, here's what happened before the internet. And I talk about this in the Beta Bell Revolution. Here's how women played that off. They said, oh, Henry, just relax. That guy who you saw me leaving his house, he's an abusive asshole. Oh, really? Oh, he's a dick, huh? Yeah, he abuses me. He like slaps me all around. I almost had to call the police on him. And he basically forced me to have sex. That's why you saw me creeping out his place at 2 a.m. He pretty much forced me. And a lot of guys naively fell for that shit. But because of the manosphere, now you had the guys who were actually fucking those women basically saying, nah, that ain't what happened. That bitch freely gave me the pussy. I didn't force her to. I didn't put no drugs in her drink. She wanted my dick. I gave it to her. And I said, bitch, you only gonna get my dick. After that, you gotta leave. But women love men's See, it's always been said that women are the gatekeepers of their sexual companionship, which is true, but men are the gatekeepers of non-sexual companionship. And so I tend to criticize guys who freely, I lightheartedly call guys who quickly and freely get head up non-sexual sluts. I have a phrase that everybody knows, no free attention. Why are you giving women quick, easy access to your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship? If a woman ain't purchasing your non-sexual companionship with money or pussy, she's shit out of luck. Bye. To tell some of my personal business, I just had an issue with that within the last few days. Connected with this woman. She wanted all this non-sexual companionship from me, and I was like, no, you ain't getting that. And she went off, wrote me this long encyclopedia of an email. Calling me, dressing me down and shit. Man, you just shallow, and you're superficial, and you think all women should just suck your dick on command. I said, that would be true. That would be right. And, but yeah, she just got upset with me because I denied her the non-sexual time, attention, and companionship that she wanted. And I tell all guys, man, if a woman ain't taking care of your sexual needs, whether it's within the context of a relationship or even casually outside the context of a relationship, man, cut that shit off, man. No free attention, man. No free attention.
Cut that zero.
Yeah, man, shoot. So, but yeah, man, you know, women are real niche oriented. If you allow them to, if you give them the opportunity to, I guarantee you, I've had women admit this to me, to my face. Women will have, if they got, say, 5 different needs, they will recruit 5 different men to fulfill those specific needs. Whether some of them financial, some of them non-financial, some of them sexual, some of them non-sexual. And more specifically, men sharing intel with other men via the manosphere, women sharing intel with other women via all the assortment of blogs and message boards and whatever they call this shit. I don't know what they call this shit. But it's diminishing. The effect of those manipulative head games is diminishing. Because now when guys try to run certain head games on women, women are like, okay, I know your shit. If they don't know it from personal experience, they know it from going to a certain blog or a certain message board. Same with men. If women trying to run game on men, now men, and I have to honestly toot my horn and can say I contributed to this with books like The Possibility of Sex, because a lot of guys who read that book said, damn, Alan, I never knew before reading this book how scandalous women were, how sexually duplicitous they were, how highly manipulative and materialistic they were, and just generally how full of shit a lot of women were. It wasn't until I read The Possibility of Sex, you clued me in. And I've had women, this is how I know I was hitting the mark, is when I had women I know tell me, they said, Alan, I hate your book, The Possibility of Sex. I love your Mode 1. I even like Ooh, Say It Again, but I say, why you hate Possibility of Sex? And they would lightheartedly say something to the effect of, because you're giving away our playbook.
Not all, but a goodly percentage of black women fucking and sucking that small percentage of con, noonie, and sing niggas, and we gotta pay for it? No! Tell them con, noonie, and sing niggas to pay for that shit. And brothers are finally waking up to that, in part due to Alan Roger Curry, in part due to the manosphere in general, the rise of the black manosphere, all the rest of it. It's starting to change. A lot of black men are asking why. It's one thing, because, you know, for a long time, black women have tried to make it out that, you know, it's only the losers and the frustrated that have a problem with black women exercising their choices. I want to make something clear here. That's not the case. I have zero problem with what any woman, in this case black, chooses to do on her dime and her time, but that's just it. It ain't on her dime. It may be her time, but she wants you to pay for it. This goes back to what Alan talks about, and he's right. There is 2 components to human mating. There is the sexual component, and there is the non-sexual component. He's 100% correct on that. Marriage, ideally, is both. Or, failing that, to put it in his parlance, a emotionally profound, long-term relationship is ideally both sexual and non-sexual. But as he rightly points out, since the sexual revolution of the 1960s and 70s, women through a number of advances in society, technological, medical, social, political, economic. These different changes have put it such that women in general, black women in particular, are now free to engage their purely sexual interests with minimal blowback or consequences. And they've been able to do that. And the assumption has always been that the men that we have non-sexual interest in will just continue to do their part in society. That proposition is being severely tested now. Black men want a fair contract. You gave it to him for $10, give it to me for $10.
Go ahead, Alan. Go ahead.
If you have a society that opens the door and gives the green light for women to freely indulge in promiscuous behavior and polyamorous behavior with no real shame attached, no real stigma attached, no real consequences, then that's going to always favor women as a group. At least, if nothing else, in the short run. If not in the short run, in the long run, that's going to favor them. And it's, as you see, it's led to a bunch of thirsty men. Whereas a society that's more puts more emphasis on a strictly monogamy-oriented society and limits women's choices of sexual companions, that gives men the upper hand. And so you can see why a lot of men are having a hard time adjusting the last few decades, because we really don't have the upper hand, or at least the vast majority of men don't, because women are now free to sow their wild oats in their teens, 20s, and then say in their 30s, they say, well, damn, I've gotten all the casual dick I want. Now I want to find a husband. And again, before the days of the internet, they could probably get away with that. But now, with all the information that's being shared in the manosphere, you think guys are just going to freely have their arms open, say, yeah, baby, I'm ready for you. I know you done fucked about 55 motherfuckers, but hey, it happens. I'm ready to wife you up. No, that shit ain't happening. Brothers are like, no. You know, well, I shouldn't just say brothers. Men of all races are like, no. The use Obsidian's voice effect. No! They're like, no!
It'll never happen! It'll never work, you dumb bitch!
They're like, no, we ain't going. Because, you know, a lot of women say, well, that's men being judgmental. Yeah, possibly, but I say men have the right to make that choice. We're not obligated to hook up with anyone.
Tell it.
So if any man feels like 3 sex partners is too much for his own liking, he has the right to say, I don't want to marry a woman who's had, you know, 3 or more sex partners. That's his right. Just like it is for a woman. Any woman can say, I don't want to marry a guy who's had, you know, 10 or more female sex partners. So men have the right to say no. And so I will co-sign what I'm saying is this: I think a lot of women can't handle that. A lot of women thought, well, we're just going to duplicate what you men did for years, which is sow your wild oats in your younger years and then settle down with a wife at 30, 35. How come we can't do the same thing? Because men and women aren't the same way.
And here's the thing too, Alan, along with what you're saying. See, I'm bringing something, and it goes back to this whole point about no affection, no protection. It's true, and I'm going to put this in the context of the Black community. So a lot of Black women, because of the welfare state, because of the political environment over roughly the past half a century, has made it so, as you rightly noted, a lot of Black women can, for lack of a better way of put it, sow their wild oats with minimal consequence until very recently, with the rise of the Black manosphere, your role in that with the beta male revolution, the possibility of sex, and even to a large extent mode 1, etc. A lot of Black women are now starting to get kind of upset because Black men, through the internet, through your work, through other different, you know, a kind of perfect storm of things happening now, a lot of Black men are seriously rethinking their whole approach to this thing, and they're saying no. If they're not going to want to protect and put their life on the line for a sister who gave up the panties to a cat who wasn't shit other than just a good roll in the hay. And then when she's, used up, so to speak, once, the brother that she wouldn't piss on to put out if he was on fire earlier, to come in and do the heavy lifting of providing and protecting for her. And more than likely, there's going to be at least one, if not several kids in the mix, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of brothers ain't taking that deal. They're just not. So the most dangerous thing that could happen to a black woman is getting what she asked for. Mm-hmm. Black women claim that black men, this is the claim, that black men aren't, they don't have their act together. Well, what happens when black men do get their act together? Then what? Black women claim that black men are liars running game on them. What happens if black men just brutally mold one with you? Then what? See, I argue that if black women got exactly what they wanted, they wouldn't know how to act. And that's happening right now. Take a bow, Alan.
Let's get MOT involved in this. Man, tomorrow, go. He said if I had that Obsidian thing.
They always say, well, what kind of women are y'all messing with and this and that and the other? You guys can't say that anymore because we as black men and men in general, we're all telling the same stories. Like, we didn't all just get together. Hey, Alan, you know what? Let's character assassinate the black women. Hey, Obsidian, are you in? O'Shea, are you down? Man, tomorrow, are you in? All right, let's all get together and make up and do this huge propaganda, just do this whole smear campaign against black women to give us permission to go out and fuck a bunch of white girls. No, we all got together on the internet. We said, you know what? My story sounds kind of like his. Yeah, I went through that too. Where are you from? I'm in Florida. California, Washington State, Virginia, North Carolina, Texas. Like, it seems that everybody is the same everywhere. They can't use that anymore to disqualify. They can't use that anymore to disqualify the black male experience. They just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody just said that on the McNigga menu, they'll take a number 1. Is that with or without pickles? Let me get a number 2, no pickles. Hold the pickles.
Man, Donovan, you know that you just created a catchphrase, McNiggers, man. People are going to be using that for the next few weeks.